Tokyo in spring feels like a dream. The streets are lined with cherry blossom trees, their petals floating through the air like snowflakes that smell like heaven. The whole city softens under that pink glow. People slow down, smile more, and for a few weeks, everything feels lighter. That's where our story begins. It was a late afternoon when Hana first met Lucas. She was sitting under an old Sakura tree in Shinjuku-gyoen Park, sketching the petals as they fell. Her notebook was already half full, tiny drawings of branches, petals, and faces she had seen that day. Lucas was a tourist, camera hanging around his neck, eyes full of wonder. He had just moved to Tokyo for work from Los Angeles. He didn't know the language yet, didn't know the customs, didn't even know how to order coffee without messing up the words. But he knew beauty when he saw it, and in that moment, Hana, sitting quietly with her sketchbook, was the most beautiful thing in the park. He hesitated for a moment before speaking. Are you drawing the tree?" Hana looked up, a little startled. "Yes," she said in soft English. "It's my favorite one." "It blooms early every year?" Lucas smiled. "Can I see?" She hesitated again. No one ever asked to look at her sketches, but something about his curious smile made her say yes. He sat beside her carefully, leaving a polite distance. When he looked at her drawings, his eyes widened. "These are incredible," he said. "You caught the way the petals move, like they're alive." Hana blushed a little. "Thank you. I just draw what I feel." He nodded. "Then you must feel a lot." For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. The wind brushed through the trees, scattering more petals across the grass. A soft silence grew between them, not awkward, just peaceful. That was the beginning. Over the next few weeks, they met again and again, sometimes by accident, sometimes by choice. He'd bring coffee. She'd bring her sketchbook. They'd talk about everything, how he missed home, how she dreamed of traveling the world, how both of them loved the quiet sound of rain on rooftops. Sometimes they just sat in silence, listening to the breeze through the Sakura branches. Lucas started learning Japanese words from her, simple ones. Arigato, kairei, Sakura. She laughed every time he pronounced them wrong. But there was something pure about it, two worlds slowly finding their rhythm in small, gentle steps. One afternoon, as the sun began to set, Hana looked at him and said, "When the last petal falls, the season ends." "It's sad, isn't it?" Lucas shook his head. "Maybe not. The beauty of the Sakura is that it doesn't last forever. That's what makes it special." She looked at him for a long moment, as if trying to remember every detail of his face. Then she smiled faintly. "You sound Japanese already." They both laughed, but her eyes stayed thoughtful. That night, as they walked out of the park, Lucas stopped near the same old tree. He looked up and said softly, "If we're both here next spring, under this same tree, I'll know this wasn't just a coincidence." Hana blinked, surprised. "A promise?" He nodded. "Yeah, a promise under the Sakura." She extended her pinky finger playfully. "Then pinky promise?" He hooked his pinky with hers and smiled. Pinky promise, and that was it. No grand confession, no dramatic music. Just two people, one quiet promise, and a city full of falling petals. Months passed. Life moved fast, as it always does. Lucas got busier at work. Hana took a small job at an art gallery. They still met sometimes, but not as often. Messages became shorter, replies slower. Yet every time Hana walked by that old tree, she remembered his words. Winter came and went. When spring returned, Tokyo turned pink again. The Sakura season began. The same air, the same smell, the same soft petals falling over the park benches. And Hana was there, standing under that same tree, wearing a light pink scarf and holding her old sketchbook. She waited. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. He didn't come. Maybe he forgot. Maybe he moved back to America. Maybe promises under cherry blossoms are just that temporary beauty that fades when the wind changes. Hana sat down slowly, opened her sketchbook, and began to draw again. This time, the petals looked a little sadder. When the sun began to set, she packed her things and stood up. She looked at the tree one last time and whispered, "Goodbye." And just as she turned to leave, she heard a familiar voice. "Hana," she froze. Lucas was running toward her, breathless, hair messy, camera swinging at his side. "I'm sorry," he said between breaths. "My train got delayed. I ran all the way from Shinjuku Station." She blinked, almost not believing it. "You came?" He nodded, still catching his breath. "Of course I came. I promised." For a few seconds, they just stared at each other, the whole world fading into pink and gold around them. Then she laughed, tears forming in her eyes. "You're late," he grinned. "Still made it." She shook her head. "You always do things your own way," he smiled softly. "And you always wait anyway." They both laughed, and somehow the moment felt lighter, fuller, like time itself had been holding its breath for this exact second. Lucas took something out of his pocket, a small wooden charm shaped like a Sakura petal. "I found this at a temple," he said. "They said it's for promises that are meant to last." Hana looked at it, then back at him. "Do you believe that?" He shrugged. "I didn't, but now I do." She took the charm gently from his hand and held it close. "Then I'll believe it too." The sun was setting behind them, painting the park in warm orange light. Petals swirled around like soft confetti, and the air smelled of rain and spring and everything new. Lucas looked at her and said quietly, "Hana, I don't want to just see you once a year under this tree. I want to see you every day, with or without Sakura." Her breath caught in her chest. "Are you sure?" He nodded. "Completely." She smiled, small and real. "Then I guess we'll have to make a new promise." He extended his hand. "Okay, what kind of promise?" She looked around at the flowers, the fading sun, the city she loved, and said softly, "Let's promise to stay curious about each other. To never stop discovering. That way it'll always feel like spring." He smiled. "Deal." And just like that, the old promise under the Sakura turned into something stronger. Not just about waiting, but about growing together. A year later, they were sitting under that same tree again. Hana's sketchbook now had drawings of both of them, laughing, traveling, cooking, fighting, forgiving. Their story was still imperfect, still human. Lucas had learned enough Japanese to order ramen without disaster. Hana had finally applied for her first art exhibition abroad. When the petals began to fall again, Lucas looked at her and said, "You know, the first time I saw you here, I thought you looked peaceful. Now I see it was never peace, it was strength." Hana smiled. "And the first time I met you, I thought you were lost. But maybe you just hadn't found your place yet." He laughed. "And now?" "Now," she said softly, "you're home." They sat together in silence for a while. The petals fell slowly around them, landing on their hair, their hands, their laps. Hana turned a page in her sketchbook and began to draw. This time, not the tree, not the petals, but their hands resting side by side. Lucas watched her quietly, then took out his camera. He snapped a photo of her, laughing when she noticed. "Hey," she said, pretending to frown. He grinned. "I want to remember you exactly like this." "Why?" "Because someday, when we're old and forgetful, I'll show you this photo and say, that's the girl who kept her promises." Hana looked at him for a long time, then whispered, "And that's the boy who came back." The wind blew gently, scattering another shower of petals. The same pink light, the same quiet laughter, the same feeling of belonging. And though the Sakura would fall again, and the seasons would change, their promise, the one made under that old tree, would always stay. The end. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Comment below which story you want to hear next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.